I didn't think delivering pizza was safe, exactly, but I also never imagined it could nearly land me in jail. It started late one night, right after lockdown ended, when our place was slammed. The dining area was packed, the counter staff was drowning, and the phones wouldn't stop. I grabbed a ringing line and launched into the usual greeting, but the guy cut me off immediately. "Yo, it's Mac. I'm ordering a pizza." Fine. I'm not big on small talk either. I went straight into the normal questions: size, pickup or delivery, address, payment. He answered the basics, but he sounded weirdly distracted, like he was arguing with someone just out of reach. I heard muffled shouting in the background. He snapped something at another guy, then came back like nothing happened and finished the order. It was simple. One large pizza, no toppings, no extras. Cash on delivery. I took it and drove out. The address brought me to this grim, run-down apartment complex. Half empty, falling apart, the kind of place that looked like it had been abandoned and then reoccupied by people with nowhere else to go. But it was in an area full of broke students, so I didn't immediately panic. I delivered to worse. I walked up, knocked, and the door cracked open, just a sliver. That was the first thing that felt off. In that neighborhood, leaving your door unlatched like that wasn't normal. Still, I wasn't there to judge. I called out, "Hey, pizza!" No answer. I raised my voice. "Your pizza's here." From inside, I heard a tense, urgent voice. "Shh, just come in." I'd heard that kind of request before. People in dorms, people in sketchy houses, moms juggling kids. Even during the pandemic, people would try to get you to cross the threshold. But our shop had one rule that was drilled into us from day one. Never enter a customer's home. Not for any reason, not even one step. Too many things can go wrong too fast. So I said, polite but firm, "I can't come inside. I can leave it at the door if you want, but I need payment first." Silence. Then I heard shuffling. The door swung shut, and I heard the lock click. A man's voice came through the door, louder now, angry. "What do you mean payment first? We didn't agree on that." I just stood there thinking, have you never ordered food in your life? But I wasn't going to argue and escalate. I kept my tone even. "Yeah, that's our policy. Payment first." That set him off. "We didn't agree to that with Mario." Mario. There was no Mario at our place. Not on shift, not ever. And I'd taken the order myself. So at that point, I assumed this was a scam. Some idiot trying to intimidate a driver into handing over the food. I figured, if he isn't paying, I've already made a reasonable attempt to deliver. I can leave. And right then, something happened that made the whole thing feel less like a dumb customer and more like a bad situation. Another guy appeared out of nowhere, walking up with the confidence of someone who belonged there. But he wasn't holding a pizza box. No bag. Nothing. Just empty hands and a hard stare. He marched up to the same door and pounded on it with his fist like it owed him money. "Pizza's here," he muttered. I froze. For a split second, my brain tried to build normal explanations. Maybe the customer ordered 2 identical pizzas from 2 places. Maybe our delivery took too long, so he called another shop. Maybe I had the wrong building, and this guy was the real delivery driver. But none of it fit. This guy didn't have a box, and he looked at me like he was measuring me, like he was deciding something. He said something, half a question, half a challenge, like, "Can I help you?" or "Wrong apartment?" I don't even remember the exact words because my instincts kicked in hard. Whatever was happening, I didn't want to be part of it, so I turned and walked away, fast but not running. I didn't want to look like prey. I got back to my car, drove away, and went straight to the store. I told my boss what happened. The cracked door, the "just come in," the weird argument about payment, the random guy showing up with no pizza and acting like he belonged there. We laughed about it in that exhausted end-of-shift way. We joked about how someone could be dumb enough to order 2 pizzas to the same place and then not even pay. Then I forgot about it. Weeks passed. And then, one afternoon, during another shift, 2 men walked into the shop. They weren't in uniform, but they flashed badges. They asked my name. Then one of them asked, "Were you at that apartment complex on that date?" I stared at him. "I deliver a lot of pizzas. That was a while ago. I don't really remember." The second guy smiled like we were on the same team. "Then you won't mind coming with us and telling us what you do remember?" My stomach tightened. "I'm on shift. If you want, I can come by next week. They didn't like that. This is urgent, the first one said. We'd like you to come now. We'll explain everything to your boss. You're not in trouble. You'll be helping us. That was the moment that should have made me stop and think, because if it was so urgent, why were they being so careful and friendly? Why not just ask me questions right there, in public, at my job? But my brain kept repeating the same dumb thought. I didn't do anything illegal. I'm fine. So I went. At the station, it didn't feel like what you see in movies. No cold cell, no yelling, no slamming fists on the table. They were nice. They led me into a comfortable air-conditioned room, offered me water, made small talk, baseball, random stuff, like they were killing time. We sat there for 20 or 30 minutes, and the whole time I kept thinking, didn't you just tell my boss this was urgent? My co-workers are short-staffed, and I'm sitting here discussing sports. Finally, they shifted. The friendly tone stayed, but the question started. Did you deliver pizza to that complex? I said yes, at least I was pretty sure I had delivered there around that time. I didn't want to overcommit to a specific date because I honestly wasn't certain. I expected them to ask about the door, the customer, the argument, the weird guy. Instead, the first detective leaned forward and asked, "How long have you known those guys you delivered to?" I blinked. "I don't know them." The disappointment flashed across his face so quickly, it almost looked like irritation, like I'd failed a test. The second detective jumped in, like he was trying to help me. "Okay, sure, maybe you're not best friends, but you knew them as customers, right?" I didn't even know what that meant. Customers are strangers who order food. "No," I said. I didn't know them. They tried another angle. How long had this delivery been planned? I explained, "You call, we make the pizza, we deliver. Same day. Usually within an hour, especially for a simple order and a nearby address." They kept pushing, over and over. Questions shaped like accusations. They spoke like they already knew I was part of something, and they were waiting for me to stop pretending. I kept repeating, "I don't know what you're talking about. I delivered a pizza. That's it." Then the tone changed. The first detective's patience snapped. "Quit lying. Your friends already gave you up." My heart thumped. My friends? What friends? The second detective switched from helpful to disappointed. "You're making this worse. Just be honest. We can help you if you stop lying." I felt like I was in a nightmare where everyone else had read the script and I hadn't. I stood up. "I want to go back to work." And that's when everything shifted from weird to terrifying. They started reading me my Miranda rights. Hearing those words aimed at me, was like the room tilting. Suddenly my mouth went dry and my hands felt wrong, like they didn't belong to me. I stopped trying to look calm. I couldn't. "I don't understand what you think I did," I said, voice shaking. "I delivered a pizza. I didn't do anything." They didn't care. "Video doesn't lie," one of them said. "You want to see the footage before you lie some more?" "Footage?" I repeated. "And the jury will eat this up," the other added. Jury. That word hit me like a punch. I'm the kind of person who hesitates to roll through a stop sign at midnight. I don't even turn right on red unless I'm 100% sure. And now, someone was talking about a jury like my life was already halfway ruined. I tried to think clearly, and all I could manage was, "If you had video, why didn't you just show it to me before dragging me here and making me guess what you wanted?" They ignored that. My brain finally produced the one thought that mattered. I need a lawyer. So I said, uncertainly, because I was still stupid enough to worry about how I looked, "Maybe I should talk to an attorney." They pounced immediately. "Oh?" the first detective said, eyebrows up. "You want a lawyer? Why would you need a lawyer if you didn't do anything?" The second one leaned back, smug. "We can call one, but I'm telling you, it looks really bad for you." And I believed him, because I was scared, and because I didn't understand the game, and because they'd spent the last hour making it feel like asking for a lawyer was basically admitting guilt. Then they showed me the video. Grainy security footage. Timestamps. A camera angle looking down at the walkway. There I was, holding an actual pizza box, standing at the cracked door, talking, gesturing, the door shutting, me stepping back, and then the other guy, the one with no box, walking up, knocking like he owned the place, saying something, no audio, but you could read his lips if you tried, and suddenly, something they'd been saying clicked into place. They kept repeating this line. Your buddies thought it was easy money. They ordered a pizza instead of saying it directly. And I finally understood what they believed. They thought I wasn't delivering food. They thought I was a courier. They thought I was the pizza in some stupid criminal code, a way to transfer cash without putting "bring the money" in writing. That second guy, the one with no box, wasn't another delivery driver. He was the real courier. And these geniuses in the apartment had messed up the instruction and ordered an actual pizza, which brought me to the door at the exact wrong moment, on camera, looking like I was part of the exchange. I tried to explain again from the beginning. The phone call with the arguing in the background, the "just come in," the refusal, the fight about payment, the name Mario, the second guy showing up like a replacement. I even pointed at the video and said, that guy wasn't me. That's who you should be looking at. But because there was no sound, they couldn't hear the argument about cash payment or the other guy saying pizza's here. And because the other guy had no bag or box, they convinced themselves he couldn't possibly have carried cash. Their logic was, you had the box, therefore you were the delivery, therefore you were the cover. I told them my boss could confirm I came back and reported the weird delivery immediately. I reminded them, you literally pulled me from the restaurant in the middle of a shift. My boss didn't know what any of this was. Why would he lie? They finally called him in or contacted him. However it happened, I don't know every detail because by that point my brain was mush. But my boss told them exactly what I'd told him weeks earlier, down to the cracked door and the second guy. Our stories matched. You'd think that would be the end. It wasn't. They looked at each other and said they were going to hold me until they could verify I hadn't delivered a fake pizza or passed money some other way, or until they found the real courier. I felt my throat close. I could barely breathe because I knew the truth. And I could see how little it mattered when someone in authority decided they'd already solved the story. That's when I finally did the only smart thing I'd done all day. I asked for a phone call. I called my dad. He didn't let me finish my first sentence. Stop talking. Don't say anything else. Not one word. Then he showed up with a lawyer. And it's amazing how fast the room changes when you're not alone anymore. Within an hour of them arriving, I was released. The next day, I was officially cleared. Misunderstanding. Wrong place, wrong time. The kind of excuse that doesn't undo the 8 hours of feeling like your life is about to collapse. One of them even offered a weak apology. Not a real one. More like they were annoyed the situation didn't fit neatly into their case anymore. My boss gave me a couple paid days off when he saw how shaken I was. I think he was half relieved I wasn't some hidden criminal and half furious they'd yanked one of his drivers off shift without warning and dropped him back like a broken piece of equipment. After that, I couldn't stop replaying it. How friendly they were at first. How they stalled. How they kept me talking. How they framed questions like traps. How they tried to make a lawyer sound suspicious. And I realized something I wish I'd known before, walking into that station like an idiot who thought innocence was armor. If police want to just talk, it's usually because they want you relaxed, chatting, filling silence, until you say the one thing they can twist into a confession, or into inconsistency, or into probable cause. I didn't almost go to jail because I delivered pizza. I almost went to jail because I walked into an interrogation room alone and assumed the truth was enough. Now I know better. And every time someone tells me, if you've done nothing wrong, you have nothing to worry about, I remember that cracked door, that second guy with no pizza box, and the word jury hanging in the air like a sentence that hadn't happened yet, because it almost did.
That's where the story ends. Thanks for watching. Let me know what you think of this story in the comments. Subscribe to the channel and see you next time.